Could you just sing a song? We're so down and out. We're wrestling with despair. We can't find a way out. But when you follow the anthem of black people, which is what? Lift every voice. It's not lift every echo. You don't need echoes. Echoes ain't nothing but expressions of silos of people who don't have enough courage to tell the truth. They just trying to say what they can in order to preserve their own little private, narrow, individual agenda. They forgot about the least of these. We not talking about no echoes. Nina Simone wasn't no echo. Luther Vandross wasn't no echo. Aretha wasn't an echo. Nancy Wilson, outside of Columbus. What's the name of that town? Chillicothe. What? Chillicothe. Brother, I appreciate that pronunciation. She wasn't no echo, but she was deeply shaped by another giant from Cleveland named Jimmy Scott. And she was influenced by him because the only way you find your voice is by listening to other voices. Roland Kirk, my God, what a genius, what a voice. But we need those voices. Why? Because when you're dealing with a situation which everywhere you look, you see pharaohs, then somehow you're going to have to presume that you're going to find a way out of no way. You're going to have to step out on nothing and land on something. That's what your spirit is all about. That's what your faith is all about. The evidence looks overwhelming, but you are not convinced that that evidence presently available to you is the only evidence available. You got a sense of a future and a vision and possibility and potentiality that's not at work in the evidence. That's why this institution is still going 87 years later. Is that right, my dear brother? Faith, stepping out on nothing. How you going to preserve this first Cleveland March? How you going to do it? Evidence looks bad. It's overwhelming. You got folk coming at you. The businesses and gentrification and all these different forces coming at you, and you're still just walking with unbelievable style. But when you sing the song, could you make it soulful? Because soul ain't nothing but the sharing of a soothing sweetness against the backdrop of grim catastrophe. So the catastrophe's coming at you all the time. But when you sing it in a soulful way, it gives people a sense of being buoyed up. It gives them a gusto and a zest. And then when they come in community together, they say, ooh, we have our eyes on something bigger and grander than what the present has to offer us. So whatever the nightmare seems to be that you're wrestling with at present, that nightmare never has the last word. And part of our challenge these days is that some of the pharaohs are black. We always assumed that they were vanilla. Which is another way of saying they're human beings like everybody else. And if they choose greed, and if they choose narcissism, and if they choose conformity, and if they choose cowardliness, you got the makings of pharaohs. In the last 50 years, this is where my campaign really kicks in. See, we finally broke the back of American apartheid with Jim and Jane Crow. We finally broke the back. And we thought in breaking the back of that somehow the least of these, their lives would be elevated. We thought that they'd have access to material resources, that we could abolish poverty, which is what this campaign is about. Abolish unhousedness and homelessness, which is what this campaign is about. Dealing with the organized greed of the 1% that own 90% of the wealth, which is what this campaign is about. Dealing with the 3 3 individuals in America have wealth equivalent to 160 million fellow citizens. 3 persons have wealth equivalent